10 things I've learned in my 30s. I would be so much more successful if I knew this earlier, but you know what? You live and you learn. And part of learning, I think, involves sharing it, which is what I'm doing with you today on this episode of Neeshi's Noggin, where I share with you what's on my mind. To be clear, I'm halfway through my 30s. I'm 35 and a half, so I'm over halfway through my 30s. Focus. So let's go ahead and get into number 1. Stop treating celebrities like they're gods. Now listen, I don't mean that we shouldn't have celebrities, that we shouldn't have even influencers. I'm not saying that. As much as I know about humanity tells me that we have always had someone or groups of people that we idolize or worship. So like, I'm not trying to mess with that. But what I am saying is that we don't need to take it that far anymore, because then we get things like Diddy. When I was younger, this man was responsible or somehow involved in the biggest moments in hip hop and pop, like Notorious B.I.G. I loved Dream. I watched Making the Band. I saw and loved Danity Kane, Day 26, Da Band. Dylon. So I can understand why I don't agree with it. I can understand why people have been so hesitant to believe some of the news and the revelations. He's actually a horrible human being. I feel like the big turnaround was when Diddy's ex, Cassie, did that lawsuit and was just like, this man is crooked on a whole other level than I ever thought. And the revelations that have continued to come since then, the biggest one over the past week, which was that horrible video, the footage of Cassie and Diddy at the hotel. I understand that for people like myself, or probably even older people who grew up and saw all of the great things that Diddy was involved in, it's really can be hard to wrap your mind around, like, well, he was right there with I Need a Girl, Past the Cavassier, This Is the Remix. Like all these different moments that were so major for me growing up, and I know many other people. It does not mean that they can't be a terrible person. Celebrities and influencers are humans too. They are flawed too, some more than others. And this is just one, sadly, of many examples that show these people do not need to be put on a pedestal where we treat them like they are gods and that they are perfect, beyond human. Clearly, they're terrible people, or they can be. Number 2, please don't define yourself by your job. This is for the person that lets their job be who they are. Not only are they working and doing everything that they're supposed to at their job, but they're taking on extra responsibilities and duties, and or are the type of person that is only socializing with coworkers. Let me tell you something. These employers, they do not care. Okay? There are layoffs and firings happening left or right in every industry, and it's continuing to happen. And when that happens to you, what happens when you lose that? Get a hobby, find friends outside of that circle, even if it's so much as finding a TV show that you like. Don't let your job define you, please. It's such an easy trap to fall into. I've seen so many people that I've known do that. And even before this round of like layoffs, mass firings have been happening, I had also, on the flip side, seen the same type of person be presented with better opportunities to work for a different company or to get a different position, and them turn that down, turning down better opportunities because they are so defined by the job that they do. Please don't do that. Please. And number 2 leads me to number 3. Don't settle for less. I am still single. Yeah, that is by choice. And I think a big part of that is because I have seen so many people throughout the course of my life. They're like, okay, I'm ready to settle down. They picked the first person that was available to settle down as well, without even taking a second to think about what they were doing, got married, had children, and then a few years later was looking around like, oh my God, what did I do? It's not cute, honey. If you didn't already know this, let me be the one to remind you. The American dream is a lie. It is not real. Your objective in life does not have to be getting married, settling down with a person so that you can have kids. Like, there is so much more that you are as a person or can be as a person besides that. If that's who you are, cool. Now, this is not commenting on people that have been getting a divorce. Actually, I'm friends with quite a few people, or just know of quite a few people that have gotten a divorce. Au contraire, darling. I feel like people who are getting a divorce are doing exactly what I'm suggesting. They are not settling for less. They're in their situation and they're like, this is not serving the purpose that I thought it was supposed to serve. I need to get out of here. And you got out. And good for you. Gag it. Number 4, your 30s is not old. Let me tell you something. When I was in my teens and even in my 20s, I did look at the 30s as like, oh God, the beginning of the end. And now that I'm more than 5 years into my 30s, it's not. I ain't got no health issues. I'm able to do whatever I want to do physically. And to be quite honest, I did all of the dumb stuff like the excessive drinking and smoking in my 20s, which like, I don't know why that's the typical life experience, but your 30s is not old. Your 40s, I'm kidding. Number 5, you need to invest or save now. Do it now. I just know that when I was in my 20s, I'm very thankful for this. When I was in my 20s, my dad had advised me to get some sort of, it's some app. I still have it. I'm recording on my phone, so I can't look at it. But it's an app that basically helped me set up, I think it's an investment portfolio account. And at the time, the maximum that I could afford to do was to invest $20 a month into this. And that started well over a decade ago. I had that going for a little while. I even stopped when money was really tight that I couldn't even invest that $20 a month. But as time progressed and I was able to find, more consistent and better income, I slowly updated and increased my monthly deposits into this account. And now when I looked at it last, 75% of the money is what I invested in it. And 25% of the money that's there is returns, like the interest or whatever. It's great. I have a lot more money in there than what I invested is the point. And that you absolutely need to do that because if I'm ever in a crisis situation where I can't afford to pay my rent, I have a backup. And if you have kids, get them an investment account now. Start investing for them now. Even if it's putting $5 a month away, you need to start doing that now. I'm seeing the benefits of compound interest like barely starting to see what compound interest looks like. I cannot even imagine what it would look like if I started investing as a child or if my parents started doing that for me. And again, if it's $5 a month, do it. I promise you, they're going to love you forever for doing just that. I will love you forever for just doing that. Invest, save money now. Number 6, speaking of money, stop comparing yourself to others. Now, this is a lesson that I learned from my 20s that go into my 30s. I had a job working in a retail bank as a bank teller, that person at the front of the bank that helps you withdraw money, deposit money, make your payments, whatever. In order for me to help people, I had to go in and get access to all of their accounts, and I would always see immediately their account balances. And I could tell you, I loved this so much and seeing this at this age because everybody in my mind that looked like they were supposed to have a lot of money. Literally, none of them had money. I will never forget this woman in a Gucci set. And this is like the early 2010s. So when she had a full Gucci set, it was like, oh, she got the money. I looked at her bank accounts because she came in, asked if she could withdraw $15. And I remember being like, that's a really specific amount of cash for sure work. When I opened up her accounts, it's because she had $15.67 in her checking account and negative $35 in her savings. And that was it. Now, of course, she could have had her accounts elsewhere, but it was a consistent thing that I would see with all these people. The people who had all the money were the ones that didn't dress up really ridiculously and look like someone who was like rich, someone who wasn't like showing off and being really gaudy about their status. I also won't ever forget there was this old woman who topped down looked like, at the time to me, she was giving Old Navy. Now I'm old enough to understand it was probably quiet luxury, but she was dressed very normally. And when she came in, she wanted to deposit like a check. Her husband had passed away, but he had done work in the movie industry. And so Sony Movies was sending like royalty checks. And she was like, this is just some $3 check. I have to deposit this because it's such an old thing. They won't direct deposit it. So when I logged into her account, I know she saw the way that I reacted because in one account alone, $3 million in her checking account alone. I know I was like, oh, you never know. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Focus on your journey because that's really is the only one that matters. Okay. Number 7. You need to travel. You need to explore. I am very blessed and thankful that this year alone, I got the chance to go on trips to 2 different countries. I understand that that is a highly privileged thing, especially in today's economy. With that being said, if you can afford to get on a plane, get on a plane. If you can't afford the plane, get in your car and drive somewhere. If you ain't got a car, get on a bus. If not a bus, a bike, or walk if you can. But the point is that you need to explore and find new things. I personally believe it is absolutely essential for your health and for your spirit. Like, you need to do that. I always cringe when I see and hear about people that have always done the same thing and gone to the same places their entire life. Maybe it's the Sagittarius in me, but you go to the same grocery store, same everything. I'm telling you, just switch it up a little bit. You are running the risk of finding something, like maybe you try a different restaurant than what you're normally used to and it may be worse, but you know what? Then you got a great story to tell your friends. Go and explore new things. Please do it. You might find the next greatest thing in your life. Number 8, success is not linear. This is quite literally my current situation. It might have looked from the outside looking in to someone that was just like casually observing my life like an acquaintance, a friend, or whatever, that it looked like my life was just on the way up and just going up. I even at sometimes felt like that's exactly what's happening, but the truth is that it wasn't. Success is very much all over the place on your way up to whatever your final destination is for that particular goal. Don't get sidetracked. Don't feel like if you're in a rut, like me, that this is the way that it's going to be or that you're a total failure. It's not how life works. Just keep on going at what you're trying to go at. It's going to work out. This is a message to future me. Please tell me, did everything work out? Please. Number 9, stop making excuses and stop making lies. For me in my 30s, I've realized that all in my 20s, I used to come up with some sort of elaborate excuse or a lie to get out of either doing something social, doing something professional, or whatever. It's ridiculous when, especially with like friends, if it's just like you're not in the mood to do something, just tell them, I'm not in the mood. Like last night, my friends were just like, hey, we're actually going to get together, do some wine and maybe go out. And I was like, you know what? I literally have my laundry going and I'm not about to change that for these plans. Not going to go. And guess what? They're still my friends today. Nobody's mad. And last but not least, honey, number 10, get you some probiotics. Yeah. I did say earlier that, I'm healthy and my body functions the same way as it did in my 20s. 99% true. 1% I will say is that digestion is starting to change a little bit. And one of the things that helps is getting some probiotics. So I would highly recommend that you do that for yourself. Thank you for enjoying another episode of Neeshi's Noggin, where I share with you what's on my mind. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, make sure to drop a comment, and make sure to subscribe. You can hit that bell icon so that you can be notified the moment that I upload on YouTube. Shout out to everyone that's listening on podcasts, if it's Spotify, if it's Apple, or your own app of choice. I love you very much. Thanks for joining, and I'll be back next week. Bye. Why am I holding a Sailor Moon pose?